Okay, let's start the chapter. In this chapter, we'll be talking about the planning for electronic commerce. The learning objective is how to identify, benefit, and estimate the cost of online business initiative. How online business startups are evaluated and financed, when and how to outsource online business initiative development, how to manage and staff electronic commerce implementations. Now, we need first to identify, benefit, and estimate the cost of the electronic commerce initiatives, because they are the key to successful implementation of information technology projects. And they also, information technology project is about planning and execution. A successful electronic commerce initiative business plan activities. Basically, you identify the initiative's specific objectives, what's your objectives, and link the objective to business strategies. So setting electronic commerce initiative objectives are kind of consider the strategic role of the project, why you have such a project, intent, the scope, see the scope, and the resources plus the time. To identify the objectives is typically business electronic commerce objective is about increasing existing market sales or market shares, opening a new market, serving existing customer better, identifying new vendors, coordinating more efficiently with existing vendors, recruiting employees more effectively. So these are reasons, or could be objectives, one of them or combination of them. The other objective can be vary within one organization size. So which one is important, how much is important, and also you need to compare the risk of e-commerce versus inaction. So there is what you call a downstream strategies, which is our tactics to improve the value business provided to the customers. And then you have the upstream strategy, which is focused on reducing costs or generating value, working with the suppliers or inbound providers. There's a few software also for upstreams and downstreams, and now probably you know what it means when they say it as an upstream software. And also there is a web use for businesses. There is attractive sales channels for, for many firms. It's attractive for the businesses. It also can be a complement business strategy, such as like improving competitive position, and also inspire business to undertake activities. Electronic commerce activities is usually difficult to measure. First wave of e-commerce activity, we saw that existed without specific, you just no measures goals. You just have a website. And plenty of investors for highly speculative activities there were. That's when the e-burst happened. And then we saw that success and failure start getting measured. Then we have the second wave of e-commerce activities where businesses took a closer look at the benefit and the cost. And also they knew good implementation plans set specific objective for benefits achieved and cost incurred. Then we had the third wave of e-commerce activities, which is impacted by smartphones and tablet devices. The web access in many more locations changed nature of online communications. So you have some kind of a chatting or bot there. Technology benefit became more easily acquired. And the smaller business electronic commerce activity increased the anticipated. That's when the fintech really took off. Now we need to identify and measuring the benefit. And we notice that some benefits of electronic commerce initiatives are obvious, tangible, easy to measure, like increase the sales or reduce the costs. Other electronic commerce initiatives are more difficult to measure, like customer satisfaction, and they call them intangible benefits. So the other issue is to set a measurable objective, even if they are for intangible benefit. So if this is an intangible benefit, can you set up a measurable objectives? So how we can measure customer satisfaction based on a number of return customers? That's one of the way of doing it. Or we can do a survey. When you're using website to build a brand or enhance existing marketing program, set the goal in a term of increased brand awareness, such as a market research surveys, as we said, and opinion polls. Companies selling good or service online measure sales volume in a unit or dollars, because they do online and they're not promoting things, they sell things online. Complicated to measure brand awareness or sales increase to the other thing company doing or by general improving in the economy. So if the economy is getting better, there's a better sales, that does not mean because of the e-commerce. And they might having some ads like a billboard or something, which is drive them to website or people coming to the store. Anyway, using a website to improve the customer service or after sales support has possible goal of increase customer satisfaction or reduce support costs. For example, the CRM, and if we have time, we'll talk about the tabs CRM. Now, the supply chain manager goal include cost of goods, cost reduction, quality improvement, and faster deliveries of orders goods. Action site goals include a number of auctions, dollars, volume of the item sold, number of items sold, something like that, or a number of registered participants. Anyway, we'll just move on with the next step. So basically, electronic commerce initiatives is all about building a brand, enhancing existing marketing program, or create a new marketing program. It's about improve customer service. It might be to reduce the cost or of after-sale support. It also might be or could be improve the supply chain operation, hold auctions, provide portable social network and virtual communities. Those are all reasons, or could be a combination of them, for electronic commerce. And the other side, you can see how you can common measurements of benefits provided for each one. So identifying and estimating costs under this subject, we see that information technology project costs can be as difficult to estimate and control as benefits. 30 to 40% of project is behind of the schedule. The web development uses rapidly changing hardware and software technology. Hardware costs trending downward, but increasing the software sophistication now requires more hardware, although it's cheaper now. So the rapid changes in the web technology can destroy a manager plan. Total cost of ownership and opportunity cost. This is a very crucial that when you going into venture, you need to look at the total cost of ownership, or TCO, and opportunity cost. TCO includes all costs related to electronic commerce implementation, such as hardware costs, software costs, outsourced design work, such as employee costs and site maintenance. A good TCO number include assumption about how often site would need to be registered, redesigned in the future. One of the largest and most significant electronic commerce initiatives cost is opportunity cost. And it's about foregone benefit that company could have obtained from the electronic commerce initiative and not pursued. So potential business, but you're not setting up your e-commerce. And maybe a lost customer or a sales or cost reductions. Now, the total dollar amount required to create and operate a website has varied with the time and business. Today, you can get a good proposal for building your website and even doing for you the digital marketing. So a relative proportion of the cost remain stable. So the hardware usually 10%, software is 10%, and 80% is the labor. Small online stores can be placed into operation for less than $1,000, development and all these things. You can see these ads in the street sometimes. Small to mid-size online business operation with a full transaction and payment processing capability has an initial investment between $10,000 to $1 million, plus the annual cost of operating. Keep in mind, an online business website between 50 to 200% of initial cost. So it costs you 10 million, multiply it, 1 million, between 50 to 200. So between 500,000 to $2 million yearly cost. This is a brief of how it looks like, the initial cost and the ongoing costs. These are bench. So you might be a little bit higher, lower, but this is the bench in the market between 400 to 7,000 for a small online store, for example, and an ongoing annual cost between $400 and $14,000. It's estimated cost for business website. So cost generally heading downward these days, but lower cost of a broadband access and computer hardware and decrease software development and maintenance costs. So you need to look at who is providing these things at what cost. So in the old days used to be like a Netscape, 40 million just to get started, 1 million for doing a mobile. Today the smartphone apps is a 1,000. We did one is around $250,000 in the beginning. In the, I believe, late 1990s, early 2000s, something like that. Cost around, yeah, 900 and $250,000 probably or more. I don't know. Anyway, so the important web hosting service features that you need to look at its functionalities, reliabilities, scalabilities, security, whether there is a backup and recovery, and the last thing you can look at it is the cost. Now, you go through this, there is investors, there is something called angel investors, which is they will invest into the business. I'm not going to talk that much about funding online business startup. You can read them. The issues comes in here. Always investors, they comparing the benefit versus the cost. So the capital project, which is the capital investment, or a major investment in kind of equipment, personnel, and other assets. The techniques to evaluate the proposed capital project range from a simple calculation to complex computer simulation model. What if we do this? How much is going to cost? Probably there is something called a life tree, uh, something like that. We'll do these calculation also, or cost tree. They do that in supply chains and operating in your business's ventures. The key part of creating electronic commerce, anyway, is the initiative business's plan, is to identify the potential benefit cost and evaluate whether benefit exceed cost. So you need to build your own bench and make sure that they can understand where through that bench how much profit or benefit versus the cost that they have to put in. So it's basically you identify the benefit, you determine the value of benefits, and you also identify the cost, and you determine the value of the cost, and then you compare the value of benefit to the total cost that you can cost you. And then what we have a return on investment. Most of the angels and investors, they want to see the return on investment and exit strategy. A return on investment, or ROI, is a technique measure the amount of income return provided by a specific current expenditure investment. So if I'm putting $1 million, when I'm going to get these investment back and more. So some see, on other hand, some see the commerce initiatives as necessary and may not be subject to the analysis. So they don't, they say we have to have that. And they're not going to look at the ROI. So big organization, big retails, they have to have a website. So they're not going to look at ROIs of it. So many companies turn to ROI as a measures tool for evaluating the projects because of fast use. It's easy to understand, but has some built-in bias, some kind sometimes, that can lead to poor decisions. Usually ROI requires all cost and benefit be stated in a monetary unit, which gives underweight to cost. ROI focus on benefits that can be predicted, but initiatives have return benefit not foreseen sometimes. ROI tends to emphasize on a short-run benefit over a long-run benefit also. So there is a certain strategic of how to build a website. You might start by kind of a website, begin with a static brochures, regular brochure, you put them there. And then you move on with enhanced personalization and customer relationship management features. Maybe you can redesign to work better with the mobile devices. Recently, we've seen that the site have become integrated with social media networks, for example. Transform requires software development. That's all necessary. You can look at this in a 9496 static brochure, and then transaction processing happened. Then we had enhanced transaction processing, and we have a now platform and media integration too. The question comes in, all this investment that's necessary, should I have internal development or outsourcing all this? Some companies use the contractors to handle the entire online business site development, outsource everything. And you see these ads available. They can outsource these for you. But most of the company understands sites are too important to the future to risk outsourcing, so they will want to take care of it themselves. And because, when you outsource it, people who does these, they're not 100% aware of what's going on in your company, what's your strategies. So the key to success is finding the right balance between inside and outside support for the project. So what do you need in the internal team? First step in deciding what to outsource is to create an internal team that is responsible for the project. Team members need to be knowledgeable about the internet and its technology, have creative thinking or thinkers distinguished within the company, good sense of company goals and cultures, and have technical expertise also, but it's not less important than other factors. So you need to have some technical expertise plus business expertise. Although the business comes first, it's easy to teach people the technical expertise. It's in comparison with the business expertise. Okay? Now, measuring achievement of a team is also important. So you can express it in whatever terms are appropriate to the objective of the initiative. So you create some kind of a benchmark in certain terms, and then you express that with the changes that's going to happen. Now, there is what you call intellectual capital, is employees' knowledge about the business and its process. So that's why I always suggest that we should not lose and that's hard to measure, but a value is recognized today. Replacing some people who knows your business already is a very difficult. Not only that, they will join other company and become more competitive with you with other companies. So internal team responsible for initiative decide what to outsource, and consultant or partner needed. So they will decide which part we will be outsourcing and which part we should not be outsourcing it. You can have an early outsourcing, so outsource everything, and a company outsources initial site is design and quickly development to launch a project quickly. So if you outsource it, it's a very quick to do that. Company-owned information system people work closely with the outsourcing team. So you have a team internally in charge of the outsourcing, or it could be a consultant to do that for you. That's an early outsourcing. Then you have what you call a late outsourcing. And it's about companies' information system professional perform initial design and they develop because might be the outsource is you don't want to be exposed in the early stage. So you do the design and everything inside. And then once you start getting bigger and more heading there, then you're probably going to outsource it. Now, once competitive advantage, as we said, is gained, the maintenance of the electronic commerce system could be an outsource later on. Online business initiatives are more suited to early outsourcing sometimes. So it would be clear how much it costs if I'm outsourcing everything because it's a contract base and you know exactly what it will need as a cost-wise. And then you have what you call the partial outsourcing. It's also called a component outsourcing. Well, it's about having the hardware somewhere and you develop the softwares and you put it in their outsourcing. Or utilizing the electronic payment system or having somebody is doing the web hosting for you. And then what we have is called incubators, offers a startup company physical locations with the office, accounting, and legal assistant, computers, and internet connection at a very low monthly cost. So it's basically, it comes from the word incubate. Google does that a lot. In web service there for Google, there's also lots of incubators there to develop these things. And if it booms, then they can gain some shares. Now, in the incubators might offer seed money, startup money, management advice also, and marketing assistant. They receive ownership interest in a company that's typically between 10 to 50%. It's a kind of a company become an entrepreneur. And only internet incubators, Ideal Lab and ticket.coms, these are the incubators. Anyway, some of them are created internal incubators. And they're most unsuccessful and shut down mostly because internal incubator is basically is part of your company. And creating incubators, it's a better you have a department of entrepreneurship. As strategic partner incubator have yielded better result than the old style method. So some outsource comes in, makes a third-party application that helps your performance of your application, for example. And then you have what you call accelerators. And it's about company that perform a function similar to that of an incubator, but with a different activity structure. It's tend to work with entrepreneurs who have already developed their idea into a business. So somebody will adopt and accelerate you. Angel investors is kind of an accelerator too. Project management, we can talk about the project management. It is a very important subject. Its plan include cost, schedule, performance. A good project manager the qualification is always have to manage, or she always has to manage time, scopes, and the cost. A good solution, a good software that help a project manager for a mid-size to large size is Oracle Primavera. For a mid-size to small size and mostly used is Microsoft Project. And there is others like open source options like Open Workbench, Open Proj, and Redmine. There's hundreds of them. COO, Chief Information Officer, or Chief Technology Officer, is used by company top technology manager, the Chief Information Officer, or CEO. The technique is to monitor each project like it was an investment in a financial portfolio. Allows the trade-offs between cost, schedule, and quality across the project as well as within the individual project. Provide more flexibility in allocating resources to achieve the best set of benefit from all projects in the most timely manner. And the usual Chief Information Officer assign a ranking for each project based on importance to goals and the level of risk. Chief Information Officer usually oversees information system and related technological element needed to undertake and operate online business activities. So he's not going to do things in his hand. He's just oversees them. Business manager is a member of internal team that sets project objective and is responsible for implementing and reaching them. A project manager should have specific training skills in tracking course cost and accomplishing objectives. PMI is the good one. Project portfolio manager is responsible for tracking and managing online projects as a portfolio, usually promoted from the ranks of a project managers. Could be a project director also. And then you have the account manager, which keeps the track of multiple websites in use or a project combining into a larger website. So they have multiple websites and you want them to amalgamate or integrate them together. Application specialist is usually maintaining accounting, human resource, logistics software, electronic commerce, and site software. And then you have web programmers who design and write underlying code for a dynamic database-driven web page. So these are different jobs. And web graphic designer trained in art, layout, composition, and know web pages construction, how it went. Must ensure web pages are visually appealing and easy to use. And then one of the other positions is called content creator, which is write original content. And then you have the content managers or the content editors, purchase existing material and adapt it for the use of the site. And then you have the social networking administrator, which is responsible of managing the web virtual community element. And then you have the online marketing manager, specialized in the specific techniques used to build brand and increase the market shares, use website and other things. We have the customer service representative, which is design and implement customer relationship management, CRM activities in the electronic commerce operation. And there is a call center person, there is system administrator, there is the network operation and the database administration support. The post-implementation audit, also called the post-audit review, and it's a formal review of projects after up and running. It's testing in a way, and after running and see benchmarking on all these. It is about examining the project item established in a planning stage. So we have objective, performance, specification, cost estimation, and scheduling delivery date. We examine all these. In the old days, there's something called a blame identification approach, often used in the past. And it's focused on identifying individual to blame for a cost overrun and missed delivery dates. It's an unproductive way and very not comfortable. We look at the feedback. We do gather information. We build a lesson with the post-implementation audit. We can do a comprehensive audit report analysis. We'll see what is missed, what's did not miss. Sometimes there's a lot of issues. Some of them looks good and more than expected, and some of them are less. So we need to do a comprehensive one. And then you get what you call a change management, that after you do a post-implementation, you might need to do some changes here and there, and you have to know how to, it's a project could be itself, and the costing and the changes happen. It's usually when you do implementation, some bugs will show up that you need to pay attention to them also. Thank you very much.